6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, welcome to, like that new intro, welcome to the Black and White Show. I've got myself with Sam and Kyle. How you doing, lads?
Not too bad.
Good.
Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully we can bounce back from that absolute shit show that was Manchester City away from home. But yes, I'm doing well.
Fab. Right, so news off the pitch is they're going to be dominating our first half of the Black and White Show. And to be honest, there hasn't been much off the field stuff. So we'll probably talk about basically rumours and whether we rate the rumour or not. And then as we come on in the second half, we're going to play one of the little adverts. And we'll also swap over. Kyle's going to take over and talk more about the preview second half. We want your WhatsApps as well. This is the show where you can fire in your WhatsApps. 0747 649 7166. We'll mention that a couple of times and we'll read them out round about 22, 8:45. We'll read them all out, so please fire them across. That is the only way you're guaranteed to get your message read out. Your live chat, please fire them over, but it's not always guaranteed we'll read them out for you. Right then, so I just wanted to respond dead briefly. Sam, you're holding a beer there, aren't you?
For a change. Yes, I am. It's a Galway Bay Full Sail IPA. Lovely. From our sponsors, Beer 52. Get your introductory free case of beer for just the price of delivery, which is £5 at beer52.com/NFTV. There are plenty of you that have been taken up on the offer. I myself have signed up properly too. My second case came this week. And it's brilliant. It's a parcel of beer arrives on my door every month. There's nothing better. Yeah,
and you can also get your Volvic water at your local supermarket.
You can get your Volvic water, sugar-free as well.
We're not sponsored by them.
It's
sugar-free,
horrible, but we'll crack on. It's better than pop in terms of a healthy standpoint, but from everything else, definitely not.
keeps you hydrated, right? Right, okay, Oisin, thank you very much. Get your live messages coming in as well. And coming out the score in the videos, you've got some love already from Jonathan Young. He knows what he's referring to as well.
I do, but do you, Lee?
No, I don't. What was it about? Because
I see it's like being the best Newcastle player the other night was like being the tallest midget.
I see.
That's what I said. Jonathan found it funny. I'm not sure Sam did because it was like an hour after we'd just been dry humped off Man City. So it's like we'll crack on. But
I was not in the mood for the jokes on Wednesday. It wasn't happening.
Yeah, it was a tough night for all of us. We've got some love from Azerbaijan as well, so we're hitting around the world, the far east of Europe as well. Janet from Hampshire. Hiya, Janet. Nice to have your company tonight. Before we crack on with the news as well, Sam, obviously we were part of the BT Sport Wall. We didn't really feature much, to be honest, just at the start.
No, we did not.
I wonder why we didn't feature much. Is that because we didn't score any? But I think we're being asked back for, is it the Spurs one that's on BT? Is it Spurs?
Yes, Spurs, I think it's, is it a week on Wednesday?
Yeah. How did you find being part of
it? Or is it this Wednesday?
I can't remember. There's games every 3 days. I've lost track what day of the week it is.
I'm going to go and check that because it's going to do me head in if not. 2 seconds.
But it's
this Wednesday.
I think it's Wednesday because it's Spurs after. We've got the We Are Tottenham lads already messages wanting to be on. But how did you find it? I've seen it with little Charlie on the wall there. How did he find it?
Good fun. He didn't really have a clue what was going on, but he's all for waving in his Newcastle shirt. But yeah, it's all good. I mean, I had an absolute mare that night with my internet connection. It went dead about 30 seconds before BT went on air, so I had to quickly switch my 4G and attach it to my laptop, which it wasn't the best way to watch a football game, but then again, it wasn't a game I particularly want to watch again. So no, I'm done. But yeah, good fun, good experience on the whole.
Yeah, it was good fun, good relationship with BT. Keep your eyes peeled because he has a little clipper at the top of the line for this.
Welcome back. It's nice to have you this evening. We are live at the Etihad, Manchester City up against Newcastle. The fans are here. Come on, Man City fans. Let's see those scarves in the air. Oh, look at that cute little puppy. Get excited for the game. And also a big shout out to George as well. 10-year-old George who joins us with his dad Steve as well. I know that you two, as father and son, would love to be at the game this evening, but you can't be. But thank you so much for being with us. And now they are, the Toon Army are in the house. Good evening, Newcastle fans. It was difficult in the FA Cup, wasn't it? I want thumbs up from you if you believe you can get a result against City this evening. I just love the eternal optimism that only football can give you. As a Norwich fan, I know how it feels to think you're going to permanently win and not. Listen, thanks for being with us. Nice to have you all here this evening. Well played. Enjoy the game. I know you'd love to be there, but you can't be, and we will by the magic of television.
There we go. I was the only one who put the thumbs down. Everyone else put the thumbs up. So that was a sign
Rob proper went for it with that scarf.
He was doing that, wasn't he?
Rob was proper hammering that scarf. Like he's had that well rehearsed. Bless him.
Yeah, well, we might say Rob's pretty little face. Actually, he's done a video on NFTV Extra tonight as well. So please head over there. Rob's done a top 10 for the last decade of best Newcastle
good
wins.
Stuff on NFTV Extra.
Yeah, there is. Yours has got a structure now. Your show's doing very well, isn't it, Sam? It is. Right, let's crack on with that. Yeah, let's crack on with tonight's show. Yeah, Greenwood Milner Show. Please go check over NFTV Extra. Right, the first one then, lads, is a few of the under-23s. Sam, I'll come to you. It's always nice to see local young talent contribute and also sign contract extensions. How much do you know of these lads, Sam?
Heard of them, absolutely, but especially McEntee, I'd quite like I think at the three, he's the one I've got my eye on the most. It's always good to see players signing contracts. It doesn't matter whether it's youth team, first team. It's always a positive. These lads have got to be given the chance. The focus for most teams now, because of silly transfer market prices, the focus is always on youth and the academy, and especially even if the takeover goes through, the new owners will want to invest in our academy and in our youth system. So it's always a good thing, and here's hoping, given a year or two, their development progresses nicely, and who knows, we might see him in the first team in a few years' time. Yeah,
Jack Young was on the bench on Wednesday night as well, the centre midfielder, so great to see him. Yeah. Adam Wilson was announced the very next day. He's probably the one out of the four that's probably the most exciting left winger. A lot of injury problems this season. Very much in the mould of Rolando Aarons, can fill in at left wing back, and left winger. But same question to you, Kyle. Out of those four players, who are you most excited about?
I'm definitely in agreement with you, Lee. Adam Wilson is the one that I've seen play most. He's very direct, very pacey, and can cause teams problems. And he is a lot like Rolando Aarons. I just hope he keeps his head screwed on a bit better than Rolando did in the past for Newcastle. But all four have decent potential. I mean, as he says, Young was on the bench the other day. So, I hope they can all get involved because we're safe. We haven't got anything to worry about. So hopefully they can get a couple of minutes here and there, all four of them. Dan Barleza as well. He's not long signing a new deal till next season. So give them all a chance, just because I'm not being funny. The way we played the other day, half them players already looked on the beach. At least if you play these young lads are going to come into the team and actually try and prove a point. Do you know what I mean? So give them a chance before the end of the season, Bruce. I would.
Would you? Who would you? Anyone out the 23, Kyle, on the 23s? Tom Allen? Or would you chuck in one of the two others?
I would go for Adam Wilson, and I would definitely go for Tom Allen. I like the look of Yannick Touré as well, because we're strikers, as we've talked long into the night about on this channel about all season, we're strikers haven't really been good enough. So why not give one of these young lads a chance? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd say Yannick Touré, Tom Allen, and maybe even Adam Wilson, or even Young, because he seems to be the furthest in progression as he was on the bench more recently than the other lads. But I'd say give as many as possible a chance, because at least you'll know when they've played where you stand with them. Do they need a loan move because they're inexperienced, or they're ready to make that step up? You don't know, and you don't get many scenarios in the Premier League where you've got that time to give these players a chance, whereas we've got that unique chance. We've got nothing to play for, just a bit of pride here and there. Throw them into the deep end, see what they can do.
there's not much better than seeing a Geordie run on the pitch, especially young talent. We've obviously seen with the long staffs the last 18 months, and Kyle's already mentioned a couple there. So we'll hopefully see a couple of lads. I know Rafa did it the last game of the season. He didn't necessarily play, but they were at least involved when we hammered Fulham 4-0 on that red hot day.
I'm watching them now, actually.
Well, Fulham, what's the score?
0-0 against Cardiff.
Come on. Oh, actually, I don't want none of them two to come up, actually. Too far again. The pair of them. Cardiff's worse.
Cardiff especially.
We've experienced a bit of a... What's the word? Someone say it for me. What's the word I can describe?
NFTV story time featuring Lee with his trip to Cardiff. I'll let you explain what the problems were, Lee.
Yeah, that was difficult, shall we say. We'll word it as that, difficult journey. Remember to fire across your WhatsApp 0747 649 7166. We'll be reading them out very shortly, so that is the way we'll guarantee to get your message read out. And of course, please keep your questions and comments in the live chat as well if you want to interact with us as well, it's free, of course. Sam, you're the expert at NUFC Women, aren't you? Please tell me all about who Georgia Gibson...
I wouldn't go that far. The expert is Mr. Paul Rutter for sure, but I try and do my best and, get involved on Twitter and whatnot. But Georgia Gibson, another new signing for the women's team today. I mean, at least the women's team aren't afraid of signing players up. I think this is the 5th or 6th one of the summer now. But I'll admit that I don't know a great deal about her, but she follows us on Twitter now. So if that's not a little victory, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So you should at least know a bit about the people that follow you, Sam. Come on. Don't ask me what I know because I don't know anything either. So we'll crack on. Move on, Lee, quickly.
Yeah, well, I don't know much about her as well, but it's nice to see that the women are splashing. I wouldn't say splashing the cash. That's not right. The term, because they're all
free transfers, mate. They're not.
Yeah, they don't have any money. So we'll be obviously keeping you up to date with the women's on NFTV Extra next season. Looking forward. Hopefully get a few more match vlogs put together as well for next season with that as well. But the rest of the first half of this show is all about lovely transfer rumours, because we seem to be, I don't know what's the word, seem to be mentioned with at least 1 or 2 players every day this week. And that'll happen for the rest of the season. Now we're coming towards the end and the season's dying off. But the first one I want to bring up with you is actually one of our current players, and I'll come to Sam on this one. Is DeAndre Yedlin's future out the door now? Is it away from the club?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely looking that way. Manquillo, new 4-year deal. Kraft getting a look in ahead of Yedlin. I've got to be honest, I don't dislike Yedlin. I think he's done a good job down the years. Consistency has always been his problem. But, they've been looking to strengthen that right back area now for a couple of years. So one of the 3 had to be shifted, and it looks like it's Yedlin. So the rumours were this week, as you've got my tweet on screen there, that there are a few teams in Germany that are interested in him. So this report obviously came from America as well, from CBS. But yeah, it comes as no real surprise. He's not really been one of Bruce's favourites this season, particularly in the second half of the season. So Manquillo's first choice now, I think we'd all agree.
Kyle, has he dropped to 3rd choice now?
It's hard to say because of the fitness levels, isn't it? But since the restart, he has went for Kraft. He's even played Kraft at centre back and to make way for Yedlin against Man City. For me, Yedlin has dropped off massively. I remember when I first came onto this channel on camera, and I used to rate Yedlin highly, and he's just he's dropped off so much. I think ever since I said that on camera, he's had 3 or 4 good games in that time, and even then, they're good games. Got sent off against Wolves. That game away against Oxford, which was, I think, before the Man City game, the last time he'd started, was the worst I'd seen him play. He was getting ripped apart by a League One team. He looked shit on the ball. He just, I don't know, he just lacks in a lot of areas, whereas one time he didn't, and he actually looked pretty good. And for me, he's just had a massive drop-off, and I think it's came to a point where it's a good move for him as well to leave Newcastle United, as well as us getting rid of him and getting a new right back in, because we've needed a right back now for a while. It's just it's just look, if anything, that Manquillo's really came into his own, because before that, at the start of the season when Croft was like face planting at Norwich and things, that we were crying out for a right back to come in, and Manquillo stepped up. But we still need a right back in the summer. I'd still loan out Croft and I'd still get rid of Yedlin. But yeah, Yedlin's had a massive drop off, man. It's a real shame because he's always had that bit of potential. When we brought him in, he looked good in the Championship, but he's just declined massively over the last year or so, and it's a shame, like, because there is a good player in there.
Remember the Watford game last season when he got absolutely ripped apart on that flank, didn't he? It's St. James's. But yeah,
got a good game in him. Bournemouth this season, he was absolutely outstanding. He just consistency with him, and he's not consistent enough to be first choice consistently at Premier League level. So he hasn't fulfilled the potential he showed.
Does look like he's out the door. TaylorMade Army TV, who I was on earlier on tonight, Watford's channel, they'll be coming on to Newcastle Fans TV for the fan opposition match reaction, whatever you want to call it. So keep an eye out for those guys, Watford fans, coming on to the channel straight after kickoff, about an hour or two after that. So that's DeAndre Yedlin, and this is actually his US international teammate. Do you know much about Oisin McEntee, Sam?
You're the Bundesliga expert. You tell me.
I will tell you, I don't think he's any good, to be honest with you. He's young, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't pay $22.5 million for a player who's not going to improve our centre midfielders. McEntee, currently at the moment, is no better than a John Joe Shelby or an Isaac Hayden, who are our first choice too. So we're rumoured to, I don't know why we're rumoured to this lad. Maybe it's just speculation, but for me, I'm against this signing. The only positives that is that he's young and he might develop. But for me, for $22.5 million for a player who's not going to improve our midfield instantly, because I think at the time now, I don't know what you used to agree, but I don't think we should be signing potential. I think we'd be signing now, ready-made to improve the team, because we've gone through the years of signing potential. Now we need ready-made. Kyle, what would you say?
To be fair, he's a defensive midfielder, isn't he?
Aye.
We've only got Hayden, who's a holding midfielder, and we need depth. I mean,
would you pay that kind of money for him, though?
How much is he going for?
$22.5 million.
Oh, then no. I would rather go for someone like a Ben Pearson or someone from the Championship. If you want someone for depth, someone that'll work hard and take his chance when it comes up, then go from there. But I wouldn't pay $22 million for a risk, especially not under the current owners in any way, because that's probably a transfer budget gone.
We need a striker. We do. And the next one to be linked is Arkadiusz Milak. I have done well there. Now, obviously, Napoli are going through probably a transition with Martins potentially leaving the club, but Juventus want a backup striker to Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's rumoured, Milik, Polish international, to be going over to Juventus and try and compete. A regular goal scorer across Europe, done well in the Eredivisie. Kyle, I'm going to come to you as this. Would you be for this move? Because, let's face it, is anybody better than Joe Linton, Carroll and Gale at the minute?
He's a centre forward, so go for it. Milik's actually not a bad forward either. He's only he's good Polish striker, and I think it's a case of any good Polish player is always going to be in the shadow of Lewandowski. But he's kind of under the radar. He definitely scores goals, and would be a much better option than Joe Linton for me. But I'll go from him. I think he will be pricey because he reminds us a lot of Edin Dzeko. He's quite tall. He can hold the ball great in the air, and very powerful in the shot. So personally, it is someone I would like to go for. But I only think we're going to be in the market for this type of player if we do get bought off the Saudi Arabians. Unfortunately, for under Mike Ashley, we've got no hope in hell of getting this lad.
Yeah, Poland got a hell of a strike force, Lewandowski and Milik. I mean, most of the big boys, your Frances and your Germanys, will be pretty happy with that strike force coming in. But Sam, can you see this type of player coming in as your next upgrade?
He's definitely an upgrade. It's not going to happen unless the takeover happens. It just won't. He's too good. He's too good for that to happen under a Mike Ashley Newcastle. But you never know if the hashtag cans ever materialises. Then anyone is on the table for a move, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, I seen, who was it the other day? Messages ever on the Facebook or Twitter mentioned Mandzukic is up for free because wasn't he playing over in Turkey or somewhere? I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
for a year or something like that. So for a freebie, because the lad does score goals. Going to come back to a current player, and this one, I know what you're going to say because it'll throw up the debate with Jethro Willems straight away. It will. But the Daily Star claimed that Newcastle want to make Danny Rose's loan move into a permanent one. Go on, Sam. Compare it with Jethro Willems.
I'm not going to, because I'd want them both. Simple as that. I'd want them both. And then you've got a real competition for places, a real strong area of the squad. That's what our squad should be. Real competition for places. We all love Jethro Willems. We all do. It's such a shame what happened with the injury and his loan spell got cut short. Danny Rose impressed no one when he first signed, but he's improving game on game. He was one of the very few players to come out with any sort of average, not credit, but respectability, at least, from Wednesday. Out of the two, Willems, because he brings a bit more going forward. But the pair of them in the squad would be ideal. That's what you want. That's a Premier League squad position nailed down and two quality players.
Kyle, I think he has improved. I still don't think he's there yet, but he has, since come out of lockdown, he's gradually got slightly better and slightly better and slightly better. Would you be against Danny Rose if it was a £5 million to £10 million buy? Because he's only got 12 months on his deal. His wages will probably be high. But forget about Willems for a second. Would you sign Danny Rose?
Again, mate, it depends on the stuff with the takeover. If the takeover went through, then I would probably look for someone maybe a bit younger, and someone for like a similar quality level. But if the takeover falls through and we're in the same kind of predicament, I think Danny Rose would be a really good signing as long as we sign Jethro as well. Because for me, you obviously need two left backs, and for me, Dummett is a centre back. So I'd be looking to sign both of them in the summer. But yeah, Danny Rose is getting gradually better. It's just there is a couple of mistakes here and there, and it still looks like he's getting into the swing of things. But he's playing all right. I mean, it's the hardest. It's easy to say, but probably the best player against Man City. And since the restart, like you said, he has looked fairly consistent. So for $5 million, it is a steal. So yeah, I would say so, definitely.
Yeah, it looks like Spurs days are numbered if Mourinho stays in charge there. Remember, I get your WhatsApp about 10 minutes time. We'll be reading them out, which is 0747 649 7166. If you are watching from abroad, just put the +44 in front of it. WhatsApping us is completely for free. Or you can live chat us, but WhatsApp will guarantee you to read out your messages. Okay, so a couple more to rattle through. We've got 3 more, and then we'll read out your WhatsApps, and then we'll have a little ad break, and we'll swap over. I'm going to be honest with the next one, Sam. You put this out today. I don't know much about Jonathan Ikone, 22-year-old lad who you mentioned's got a few caps for France. I don't know much about him, so do you know much about him, Sam?
Probably a little bit more than you, because I'm guessing that's all you know about him. But he's a player of real potential. I mean, 22 years old, and he's already got 4 caps for the best nation going, and a goal in there as well. Whether he'd suit our style of play in the short term, I'm not sure. He'll probably suit it a bit more now that we've switched to 4 at the back and not leaving the striker so isolated. Could be exciting. Spurs are obviously in for him as well, but again at Spurs, he's only going to be playing second fiddle to Harry Kane, let's face it. So I would be quite keen on this one, because let's face it, although Carroll's going to be staying, he's not going to be playing a lot. Gale's probably going, Muto's probably going, so we need at least we need 2 strikers in as priority. So I would be quite interested in this one, to be honest. Probably the most exciting one out of the lot.
Yeah, there's that joke that's come back, Stephen.
It's going to stick that one in there.
Yeah, that might be stuck with you for a little while. But with the summer carry on with the transfers, we're going to see loads more. But with Akone, I don't know massive. I don't watch League One football, to be honest with you. But Kyle, do you know much about this lad?
I cannot say I do, to be honest. I've seen a comment there before. FIFA scouting. I think that's literally where I know him from, to be honest. He's pacey. I know that much because I've used him in the game. But other than that, lads, I honestly don't know much about him. I don't watch League One football either. But he's got to be an improvement on what we've got up top, surely. I mean, this season we've been very, as you know, shit up front. So a bit of pace, bit of good movement. Who knows? Could come in and improve it. But for likes of Tottenham and that are swimming around him, history's shown under Mike Ashley we don't tend to compete with teams for players. So I thought Sam was about to say something there.
What I will say about him, it's potential with this guy as well. He's not the finished real deal just yet. So it depends whether you want potential or proven quality that's going to be starting week in, week out, guaranteed results. But then you're going to be paying silly money for that, especially with strikers. I
think at the minute you've got to have someone to come in and fire straight off. The way we're playing at the minute, I think, because the way that we've got Almira and saint-maximin, I don't think a target man suits that system, unfortunately. I think you need somebody similar in the mould of them, small, diminutive, who can finish. And that's why I think a lot of comparisons get made of Joseph Martinez from Atlanta, because he would fit into that. And obviously he knows Miggy's and he's got a relationship with Miggy very strong. So I could see that kind of mould of player, like a David. I know David Villa's retired, but that kind of small, diminutive player who can splash the cash. And then we're dreaming here, don't get me wrong. If the takeover happens, and we'll all get excited, we'll have our cans and get pissed on there on live YouTube, sorry. The next one is, of course, we do not want to see this happen. I think it's because of his good form. I think that's why it's getting linked. Le Ten Sport, if I've said that, Napoli and obviously Arsenal came out. The Athletic have denied that it's Arsenal as well. But I think with this one, Kyle, he's always going to be consistently linked because he's a hell of a player.
Of course. It's to be expected. I mean, we had the last consistently good player we probably had before Maxim, and that was actually ours and not a loan player, was probably something along the lines of a Kabay or maybe a Sissoko when he was in form, or a Wijnaldum, and they got linked with the big clubs a lot of the time as well. So this is no exception. But the thing is, we're going to have to show ambition if we want to keep him, because everybody's saying the same thing about this. If we don't get taken over, we're in real jeopardy of losing him, and we've shown in the past that Mike Ashley is keen to make a quick buck on players. I mean, look what he did to Wijnaldum. We got relegated, and the first thing he did was sold him to Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? So, we've got to really show ambition, and that's a cracking comment as well, Danny Ings. With what we've got with Maximin and Almiron, Ings will be perfect because he's a fox in the box, shall we say, and he knows where the net is. And I don't think he cost any more than 25 million either. And he's in his prime years, so I'd say Danny Ings will be a good signing for Newcastle. But it doesn't surprise. I mean, you look at Wilfred Zaha, who's Crystal Palace's talisman. He gets linked with Arsenal every second week, or he gets linked with here and there and everywhere. So it's not surprising. The best players always make the headlines in terms of transfer rumours. So, and saint-maximin, for the way he's been playing for us and how good he's been for us this season, it's no surprise to me. It's just we need to show that ambition now to keep him.
You mentioned there, Kyle, that you're keeping him. So Sam, I've come to you. I've seen this a couple of times now that he's only on 36. And when I say only, I mean that's a lot of money. But in terms of footballing, he's only on 36,000 a week when you've got Jamal Lascelles double that, and Shelby's on 80k. If you are going to keep ASM in a long term, first of all, ambition, definitely agree on Kyle, but you're probably going to have to double his wages, aren't you?
Definitely, but the problem was he signed a 6-year deal when he signed last summer. So it's a tricky one. I mean, his agent is also his brother, so bit of a family affair there. And I think his brother came out and poo-pooed this story, saying Napoli haven't been in touch, but eventually ASM will be looking to play in the Champions League, which is reasonable. So it's not. Yeah, these stories aren't going to be unexpected. And like I said on the Greenwood and Mulliner show last night on an FTV Extra, where our special guest was World Snooker semi-finalist Gary Wilson, I said, God help us if he finds some consistent end product to his game and the takeover doesn't go through, because he'll be on his bike and he'll be out of it. But I think should the takeover go through, you'll see a couple of key players sign new extended contracts, and ASM will probably be in for a handsome pay rise.
Yeah, I think he will do. I think he deserves it as well. Like Martin Dubravka has signed a long-term extension and got a wage hike. So let's talk about the last one, and then we'll read out your WhatsApp. So again, get your WhatsApps coming in. I think we've got 2 or 3 which have came in already. And this one's an interesting one because it's a right back, and it's a position that we need to strengthen massively. Now, Emerson is currently on loan at Real Betis, but he's actually owned by Barcelona. Very much the attacking right back. You're Brazilian. You think of all your Brazilians, you're probably going to instantly think of Cafu. He's up and down that wing, being put out to Real Betis to try and improve his game. And he'll want to come back, but he's got a tough company with Semedo at right back as well for Barcelona. But is this something along those lines, Kyle, you could see this type of signing happening?
I mean, to compare him to Cafu was bloody good praise, Lee. I mean, if he was anywhere near the quality of Cafu, trust us, he would be playing for Barcelona week in, week out. But we do need a right back. I think ahead of a right back will probably be a centre forward, but a centre forward and a right back are the 2 positions we need to address in the summer. And I wouldn't mind a lad of this calibre signing from Barcelona / Real Betis, because Betis are actually having a decent season, and they're showing ambition at the minute. So the question you want to be asking is, why would someone who's out on loan at Betis doing really well with players like Nabil Fekir that are in and around him, why would he want to come to a Premier League club that are just happy to stay up? I mean, for me, if he goes anywhere, it'll probably just to stay there. If we get a takeover, then that situation changes. But a lot of my answers are going to be very similar with every target. If a takeover happens, then it's realistic. If it's not, then I find an ambitious move for anyone difficult, to be honest.
As I just start hiding people's numbers for the WhatsApps, because I don't want these numbers being shown. Apologies, we can't control that. We're going to have a look at WhatsApp. A few more have come in. Let me change the screen, and we'll open up the WhatsApp, and we'll read some of these out. Remember, you can fire these across, because the second half is all about the preview. So if you want to ask us about who you want to play or any predictions, the WhatsApps will come in. So this one's from Unknown. Paul isn't with us, but I'll ask Kyle this. Will Paul remain calm?
Are you asking me that because we're NFTV's on that aren't in deck? It depends what he means. If it's if it's tomorrow and we get beat, I'd probably say no. But you can catch Paul on Facebook, and obviously a top lad is Paul always. But whether he'll remain calm or not, it just depends what side of bed he rolls out in the morning. If he gets cut off in traffic, if something, because he was saying something that was earlier on about someone parking in his parking space at his work. So he's been fighting, like he's been proper scrapping. So will Paul remain calm? Probably not.
No. Let's move on to the next one from Rohan, who pops on the fan reaction. So hopefully we'll get you on again, Rohan. Interesting what Bruce said in the press conference today, Sam, for you, this one. What do you guys think of Bruce's comments on Ashley? Personally, he's lost my respect and can't continue as manager under a new regime.
I'm glad you've come to me on this, because this was clickbait from the Shields Gazette. Bruce had no mention of Mike Ashley whatsoever. So I'm sticking up for Bruce a little bit, just because he said the team hasn't stagnated over the last couple of years, which, all right, may not be wholly accurate, but there was quotes attributed to it. So regarding Mike Ashley, which the Shields Gazette, as I say, quoted him on, which was just absolute garbage. Luke Edwards, your favourite man, Lee, called them out on it as well. So
he's deleted his tweet
to a point. Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That says it all. But Bruce never mentioned anything to Mike Ashley. But is he entirely right about the club not stagnating? No, of course he's not, because we obviously have.
In any case, Bruce is not going to come out and slag off his boss. I mean, who would do that? I mean, I wouldn't do it. Sam, you wouldn't do it. I can totally understand what he means with.
Rafa did it.
He did, and look where it ended up with Rafa. Unfortunately, he had nothing walked out. So Bruce will not walk out for Newcastle. He loves Newcastle. It's his home team. Next one from Liam from London. I saw an article, Steve Bruce, saying he's improved us. I haven't seen any improvements because we've scored less goals, conceded more goals. And he goes on to say about someone like Poch getting in. Kyle, with that, do you think Bruce has improved in any shape or form?
I mean, Liam messages me all the time with stuff like this. He's not Steve Bruce's biggest fan, is Liam, but it's hard to say. The ways Steve Bruce has improved with is like individual players. He's improved, like Jonjo Shelvey, Javier Manquillo, but he hasn't all round improved with. I mean, if you just look on the outside on the surface, you'd see he's nearly got more points than Rafa ever accumulated for Newcastle, which is bizarre. But if you look into the thick of things, he probably hasn't. I mean, the best thing Bruce has done is change to this 4-2-3-1 system, where we've been able to play a bit more freely, and the attacking players have been they've took the shackles off, as Richie says at the start of the season. A bit late, Richie, but yeah, better late than never. But no, I think I don't think he's improved the team, but he's improved certain players. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'll do the next two because we're getting a few coming through. Don't rate Joe Litton at all, but I feel sorry for him. Worth a season-long punt on Sturridge. Was funny as you mentioned that, Kev, because that was a while back. It was in January where I was disappointed we didn't get Sturridge on loan for the rest of the season. He chose West Brom over Newcastle for his family reasons, not his footballing reasons. And if he's going to turn one down for West Brom for Newcastle, and I don't really want him back at the club, to be honest, but in terms of abilities, he's too injury prone. I think Newcastle, he's a good striker, scores goals. Edison Cavani from unknown. Yeah, that would be a dream if we can get Cavani, but look like he's setting the move elsewhere now. Hello, everything, lads. Hope everyone is okay. Why are we talking about transfers already? We need to know what's going on with the so-called takeover. Well, John, if you've got news for us, please tell us.
Don't we all?
We would love to know, John. There hasn't been no news. That's why we're not really touching upon the takeover tonight. And Kieran says, if the takeover happens, do you think Steve Bruce continue as manager, or do we have to change to a better manager like Pochettino? From Kieran, I think we've all answered that the last few weeks. Is that I think we're all unanimous in saying Bruce will probably be kept on for a short period. And then I think it's common knowledge that every club where you look at, they bring in their own man. And we'll give the last one to Sam before we swap over. Papa Cisse free soon for the Bants. Would you bring Papa Cisse back?
No. I know he's doing really well in Turkey, and so is Demba Ba, but they're a bit too old now, I think, for the Premier League. I mean, they're no Zlatan. I don't think they could be nudging 40 and still banging goals and in the Premier League. But yeah, they're doing well in Turkey, so well done to them. But no, they're not coming back.
Yeah, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is just another human on another level, isn't he? So we're going to take a quick ad break, and then we're going to talk all about the preview. Remember, keep your WhatsApp coming in as well. And this is all about our Amazon page. See you in a couple of minutes.
The Black and White Show will be with you after this short break. See you in a few minutes.
Today, we're going to talk about Amazon. We have our very own Amazon store in which you can find pretty much anything to do with Newcastle United. From shirts to pencil cases to anything you want. Lee, what have you bought from our Amazon store?
Oh, I love a good pencil case and duvet, don't I? As that's been around the internet before. No, I've got a lot of stuff, not just Newcastle stuff. I've also got a lot of tech stuff that we use, like cameras and mics from Amazon. So they do a lot of stuff on our Amazon store. But I'll probably say that my favourite is the shirts, because we do a lot more range. But you can get anything. You can get literally anything, from a pen to a bottle of vodka to bed sheets, you name it. Amazon has it all.
Yeah, Amazon is great for its range of products, and the best part is that we aren't giving anything to Mike Ashley and Sports Direct. Nothing Sports Direct related on that store. Sam, how brilliant is that?
Purchasing Newcastle memorabilia 100% guilt-free. Mm-hmm. That man is not receiving any of your money for your purchases on our Amazon store. I myself love the memorabilia section. I don't know about you boys, but classic shirts from years gone by, signed Signed photos of Newcastle legends Alan Shearer, Shay Given, Les Ferdinand. They're all on here, all on our Amazon store. It's a cracking find.
That's just reminded me, Sam, because I actually like car accessories as well. So I've got a lot of fresheners in my car, which are Newcastle United. Literally, my car is kitted out.
Don't tell me you can get a Newcastle United car air freshener from our Amazon store.
Yeah, not
Oh,
that
yes, you can.
several, Sam. There's loads there. So if you want your car looking nice, you're supporting Newcastle United. Just be careful where you park your car. But apart from that, it's fantastic. Get all them accessories.
Yeah, so fantastic. If you want anything, pretty much anything Newcastle United related, check out our Amazon store. Link will be in the description below. Go have yourself a gander and you might find yourself a good bargain.
Welcome back to the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
All I'm saying, Sam, is you could sell water to a fish. Absolutely majestic advertising from yourself. But I'm taking over part two of the Black and White Show this evening, as we're going to cover the preview for tomorrow's match against Watford at Vicarage Road. Obviously, Man City was a forgettable game, a very quickly forgettable game, but we've got to kick on now. And firstly, Sam, I'll come to you on this one, mate. How do you think how do you want to set up against Watford tomorrow? Do you want to see any changes be made, or what kind of thing you're looking for?
Just a few changes. Same system, 4-2-3-1. Well, I say same system. I don't know what system he played on Wednesday. It just looked a mess. 4-2-3-1. Hopefully, Lascelles, Almiron, and ASM all came through training today. I saw pictures of Almiron. I tweeted one of them as well this evening. So he was all smiles. Obviously, you could kick him in the balls and he'd still smile at you. So hopefully they're all fit. So I think the only new injury concern is Kraft, which isn't any major loss. So I'm expecting Manquillo to come in at right back, Fernandez and Lascelles, Rose left back. I'd want to see Shelvey and Matty, as I don't think Hayden's fit yet. And then obviously ASM, Almiron, Lazaro, and then who do you go with up top? Yeah, probably Gale. If you're going for goal scoring form, it's going to have to be Gale, which is fine against a team near the bottom of the league.
Well, speaking of that, mate, they're bottom of the league, but ever since Nigel Pearson came in, I mean, when he took over, there were like 8 or 9 points adrift at the bottom of the league, and people thought they were going to drop. I mean, it looked alarming from the first game of the season, way back when. Feels like years ago now, but I remember they got hammered off Brighton. What was it, 3-1 or something like that at home on the first game of the season, and they just kind of dwindled, and they sacked the manager after 6 games. And I think the only point they got was ironically against Newcastle at St James's Park. But
I was there.
For me, Watford. Yeah, I say. Unfortunately, we'll kind of brag about such, but no, it's one of them with Watford, because since Nigel Pearson's came in, they've looked very industrious, a bit like a Sheffield United, where they work hard, they play to the final seconds of the game, and they've made a couple of shocks since Pearson took over. Obviously, they beat Liverpool just before the lockdown and ended their unbeaten run for the start of the season. So, Lee, I'll come to you. How do you think Watford will come and play us? Do you think they'll try and hit one on the front foot to get an early goal? Because obviously, they're even though they've done well, they're still fighting to stay up. With them being in 17th place. So how do you think they'll come out and play? Do you think there's anyone we need to watch out for?
You're right in saying I think they're all picked up a bit of form, because when Pearson did come in, there were stranded, weren't they? Really, let's face it, they have improved. Be interesting to see what the league table was when Pearson first started, because the Watford will be a lot higher, but Watford will need to win this game. I think it's a home game. I think Newcastle are coming off a result which were a little bit wounded, a little bit vulnerable. So Watford will probably look at it, think, and have their remaining fixtures. This is one where we can get 3 points. I think they will attack with. I think we've just got to be careful out wide, because I think Sarr's lethal. I think an interesting battle will be Deeney versus Lascelles, if Lascelles does make it 2 heavyweights clashing with one another. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But I think, in all honesty, I think it'll be quite an even game. To be honest with you, I think Watford are quite vulnerable and weak themselves at fullback. I think Dawson and Cathcart are pretty solid. Foster's had a great 18 months, but I think we can target their wings. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we play a lot of the ball out wide. And I wouldn't be too surprised if Cowell starts, to be honest, if he's fit as well.
Fair point. Speaking of wingers, one of their main parts to exploit is the fullback position. I mean, they've been weak there for years. I mean, since they bought Yanmat, it's been downhill from there, to be fair. But our main attacking threat is from the wings. And obviously, the man himself could be back. Steve Bruce has been talking about it. He said in training that they're going to run the likes of ASM through training and that today to see how they fare. But does this give us a massive advantage, Sam, if Alan Saint-Maximin plays, considering how weak they are at fullback?
Yeah, because he's our best outfield player. It doesn't matter who your fullbacks are, it's still an advantage to have him in the team. Hopefully he's had a nice rest, which was long overdue. And he's coming back refreshed and ready to tear it up again. I would be playing him tomorrow if fit, and on Wednesday against Spurs, taking him out for Brighton, and then playing him against Liverpool last day of the season. But he's a game changer. He's the difference between a point or three. At the end of the day, he makes things happen out of nothing. We all love him, don't we? There's not a person watching this who doesn't rate him and doesn't like him. It's going to be huge to have him back. But I think since the lockdown as well, I don't think Watford have looked too clever, which is why that win against Norwich the last day was absolutely huge for them. But Lee, I don't want to interrupt your wonderful presenting, Kyle, but do you want us to win this game? Because if Watford win, that's Villa up shit creek.
No, I care about us first. I know Watford's forms, obviously the win was crucial, but Bournemouth, Villa and Norwich is not bad. Villa, we don't like Villa. I'll say I don't like Villa then. But Bournemouth, because it's miles away. And who was the other club? Norwich is an absolute trek to get to. I don't want to be doing that next season. So I wouldn't mind Watford staying up because it's just the M1 all the way. I know it's a long drive, don't get me wrong. But it's all the way down the M1 and then you're there. So I didn't want Watford to win. I actually think you'll probably ask me. No, hold on. You'll probably ask me score prediction later, Kyle. But I think we'll be pretty even, to be honest with you. But I think it'll be exciting. I would love to see Alan Saint-Maximin on the left, Miggy in the 10, Lazaro on the right. That's the three I would like to see behind the striker.
Yeah.
Well, you've just answered my next question, Lee. So thanks for telepathically reading my mind. But Sam, I'll come to you on this one because for me, Joelinton hasn't been up to scratch. I know Rob, for some reason, we're scoring the players, giving him a 5, which was bizarre to me. But Joelinton just hasn't looked up to it since the Sheffield United game. He's looked very off the pace. So would you take him out to put Lazaro in and then maybe play Gale or an Andy Carroll up front? Do you reckon?
Yeah, because we need to see more of Lazaro, simple as. We unfortunately know what we're going to get with Joelinton short term anyway. I actually agreed with Rob to a degree. I don't think he was that bad against Man City, but only because he was isolated up front again. So, and his previous performance against West Ham was dreadful, I thought, because he should have been in the game more when he was on the left, well, on the right and on the left. But yeah, we need to see more of Lazaro. We need to see, because at the moment there's no chance of that deal being made permanent. So we need to see whether it's worth it or not, which I've a feeling it won't be, and I can't see it being made permanent. But to be honest, just as long as Ben Taleb doesn't start, I'll be happy whatever the team will be.
Well, it seems you have a telepathic mind as well, Sam, because I was going to come on to the midfield and who should start in the midfield. That happens. I mean, I've planned out all this preview. You'd think you've got a copy of my notes or something, but no. In the middle, I think Matty Longstaff's got to start for me. That's a cracking comment from Norwich Talk. Before I go back into the midfield, I mean, you say that Norwich Talk, but we made you look fantastic this season. We made you look like Barcelona, second game of the season, and the reverse fixture at St James's as well. They nearly nicked the win off. We're back to the midfield. Matty's got to start for me. It's interesting that Sam brought this up in the messenger chat that we have, that Bruce never got asked any questions about Matty this afternoon. So that's a particularly interesting one. Hopefully, Lee Marshall hasn't told journalists not to ask about the certain subject, but yeah, Matty's got to start in the midfield for me. Who would you play alongside him, Sam? I know it's not Bentaleb, but who would you elect to go for?
Jonzo back in his normal position as the kind of quarterback role, just in front of the back four, pinging the balls around, and then you'll have the tenacity of Matty around him. The longer this goes on, especially if Matty doesn't start tomorrow, the more and more convinced I am that he's out the door. I just can't see it being resolved, and he might be subliminally protecting him to
he's playing for his future club. Sam is playing for his future club. You know, Watford could scout him right there and then, couldn't you?
Well, yeah, I know, with the old Udinese Watford connection, but I just got a horror. This has been keeping me up at night more than the takeover stuff, because I so desperately want him to sign. But the longer it goes on, the more convinced I am that he's going to be out the door.
What would Kelly think of you? Matty Longstaff is keeping you up all night and not the baby. You are shocking, Sam. You are
She doesn't watch this. She thinks it's the baby. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, with Matty as well, with it not being brought up in the presser today, to me means one or two things. One, there's been a resolution which hasn't been announced yet, or a resolution's close. Or two, I've read too much into it.
I hope to God he signs, because he's got to have to sign.
Yeah.
He needs to, for sure. I mean, I can go on a full-on tirade again about Matty Longstaff, but so there is someone, and there is a video that does it a little bit better than me, and Paul did a rant on Matty about last month on the channel. So I'll go and check that one out, because he gives some very valid points on why Matty should stay at the club. But for me, the only person that can, I mean, we haven't really considered this, because Sean played in the number 10 against Bournemouth, and he looked really good until he came off. So it might be worth putting Sean in the 10, Miggy on the left, and either Maximin, if he's fit, or Lazaro on the right with someone up top. I mean, you could even put Maximin up top if you want to. I prefer to play him on the wing, but he's got that aura about him, Maximin, where he can change the game, so you could probably play him up front as well. I mean, I remember Pardew doing it in Europe. Do you remember when Sissoko first signed and he decided to play him up front away at Andrew Michelic or whatever they're called? And we got a 0-0 draw. So it doesn't always work out. But I mean, he had reason to do it, because he just scored them 2 goals against Chelsea, didn't he? So he plays him up top. But as Lee's put on screen, further notes from Steve Bruce's presser, and I hope to God Lascelles is fit going onto the defence side, because a couple of years ago I travelled down to Vicarage Road to the second last game of the season. We got beat 2-1.
Yeah, tell me about that journey, Kyle. I would love to know about that journey. What happened on the way back home?
It was a fun day, a fantastic day, but he doesn't.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
To be fair, mate, I don't want to. I mean, if it's Paul's bus, for those watching, if you know type of thing, and that's where I'll leave it, and I'll tell you off camera what happened. But no, Paul's bus. If you know, you know. It was horrible that day. It was like 50 degrees inside that bus, man. Honestly, on the way back, we're just being beat. Lee's like, "Oh, give us a couple of messages so I can do like a picture version of the player ratings or scoring the players as it's known now." And I'm sitting there typing, sweating on the bus and that on the way back. And yeah, and I'll tell you what happens later on. But in that a couple of years ago, Deeney just had his way with Lascelles. Lascelles doesn't get beat physically very often, but Deeney has got his number in that regard. Like Lascelles is just going to have to be a bit better positioned for me, and that's if he's fully fit. If he's not fully fit and he doesn't play, who's the 2 defenders you would go for? Because personally, I don't think Shea deserves to start. So Sam, who would you look to go for? At
the back, it's got to be Lascelles and Fernandez, hasn't it? But I mean, if Lascelles isn't fit, it's got to be Cher because Clark's out for the season. And
No one else,
Lejeune,
No one else.
no, there isn't anyone
isn't,
else.
is there?
I'd rather play Fabian
could
Cher
easily-
in different form than Emil Kraft there.
Yes. Well, Kraft, I think, is going to be injured tomorrow. I don't think he's available. So you could even see Yedlin in there if Lascelles isn't fit. I know he's filled in at centre-back once or twice before to ill effect, but there isn't anyone else. Simple as that.
Aye, that's true. I mean, we've pretty much went through the whole entire team, unless you just want to argue who deserves to go and goal. The new signing Mark Gillespie or Dubravka, I mean, we're not near point arguing that one. So Dubravka will obviously be in goal. So we kind of had our predicted 11 going backwards through the team, ironically. Sam could be a great young voice from Only Fools and Horses. What do you reckon, Sam?
Thank you.
True? Is that you take that as a compliment?
You said it. I could sell water to a fish, so yeah, who knows?
Aye, but we've went through Newcastle. So you mentioned him before, Ismail Saleh. In my notes, I've got the 3 players Watford have that we need to look out for, and I'll probably put Ismail Saleh at the top of that because he's really came into his own under Nigel Pearson, where he petrified Liverpool's defence with his pace and his power and his ability and his end product as well. He's got good end product for a Watford player, especially. I mean, up and down the years, you don't expect a Watford player to have that kind of ability, to be honest. And he's definitely the player that they look at to score goals and then probably look at him as well to keep him in the league. But Lee, who else would you look at in the Watford squad that we've got on screen now that would be a danger to us?
You mentioned Saw, second half of the season, brilliant. Spent a lot of money on him. He's going to cause Danny Rose a few issues. I expect Danny Rose to play there. I quite like Will Hughes. I know we were linked to him for years when he was at Derby. He's got great feet. He can fill in anywhere across the midfield. I quite like the look of him. And then you're probably looking at Danny Welbeck's just come back. He's going an overhead kick. He'll probably start, so he might be a threat. In particular on the pace. You mentioned Deeney, the battle with Lascelles. If Lascelles is fit, I'd love to see that. That'll be interesting. I think they do miss Gerard Delafau massively. I think he's the best player in the whole of the Watford squad. I generally do. I think he's got the best talent, technique, pace. He missed a hatful of chances, didn't he, at St James's Park in the
that's right.
The reverse fixture. But yeah, I think it will have to be, for me, Saw, Deeney and Will Hughes are the probably 3 that I look at. I think Decore is probably had an up and down season. And Ben Foster's been sensational the last 18 months. Sam says, I've missed one. Please don't say a pun or success or something.
No. Craig Dawson. We'll concede from a set piece. I'm telling you, if we're going to concede tomorrow, I think all them players we can actually cope with from open play. But set pieces are a known weakness of ours, and it's been consistently the case all season. And Craig Dawson is one hell of a threat from a corner or a indirect free kick. So, yeah, Craig Dawson from set pieces is one of the biggest threats I think that we could have posed on us.
You see, the biggest threat to our defence for me is Deeney, because we've struggled with physical centre forwards all season. We've just made big burly centre forwards look just outstanding all season, and I think Deeney will look to get in behind defenders and especially set pieces with Craig Dawson as well. We've been awful from set pieces this season, where I think we've conceded nigh on nearly the most in the league, defensively, set pieces wise. So it's really disappointing because it's one place which used to be pretty good under Rafa, and we're just getting worse and worse at set pieces. So I'm hoping we'll have a plan for Dawson, but Sam's right. If we're going to concede tomorrow, it will definitely be by a set piece, maybe a corner or something like that. But yeah, I mean, we've spoken about Watford's best players. We've spoken about ours. The final thing would be really predictions. But before predictions, that comment is no, I don't think so. Sack Richie, Sam, that should get your goal up.
No, he loves Richie.
Surprised you. He's your best mate. Come on,
I do like
stand up for your boy.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's been again. It's a classic case with Richie since the restart of Bruce not looking after and managing his squad. Richie looked $1 million against Sheffield United, but then obviously got played again far too soon and picked up a knock, and he has looked awful since then. But then again, everyone did in the last game. So he needs to sort his delivery out on the training pitch, but sack Richie, no chance. You want him barking at people on the pitch and kicking corner
Do you agree
flags.
with the other two? Joel and Bentaleb?
No, because Joe Linton, no, and Bentaleb, yes. I'll drive you back to Schalke myself.
Gelsenkirchen.
Yeah, mate, it's quite a drive.
I know it's Gelsenkirchen, but he plays for Schalke. Well, he doesn't play because they know what he's like. They know he's shite.
He has been out.
Not very often I like our players on here. Not very often at all. But Bentaleb did not wind me up on Wednesday night.
Right, we'll get into the last thing of the preview, which is predictions. Now, I'm not a one for predictions, as you all know, but Lee, I'll come to you first, mate. You said you had a prediction in mind, so
Yeah.
you said it was going to be a tight affair. So, what are you going for?
I think it'll be a score draw. I think Watford, that's what I'm worried about, is us just going into cruise mode now. That's what I'm a little bit worried about. Watford have got something to fight for, so I'm going to say it's going to be a score draw, a good old 1-1 like it was last season when Rondon scored, didn't he, with the header? So I think it'll be 1-1.
Yes, he did. Okay, Sammy, you got it. Are you thinking on the same as Lee, or do you think we'll turn up like we did against Sheffield United and Bournemouth?
If ASM and Miggy and Lascelles are fit, then I think we can get something out of the game. If they're not, I think we'll lose 2-0. We've a horrendous record down Watford. It's not great, but if our big guns are firing, then I'm confident we can get something out of the game. Maybe a draw, but if not, then we'll probably lose 2-0. But I'll go 1-1 because let's assume they are fit.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm more optimistic than you two. Actually, I think Bruce is going to get the boot up the arse after the way they played against Man City. He was pretty angry with the way they played. I think he's going to rotate it for once and actually look after his squad. I think Maximin's had his rest and put them on the back foot. Hopefully get an early goal, put them under a bit of pressure, and hopefully Newcastle get the 3 points. But we'll move on to the last four WhatsApps before we'll wrap up. Unknown. I'll give this to you, Sam. I would love to know why Joelton keeps getting picked to play in every game, lads. Sam, why do you think Joelton keeps getting picked every game?
Because there's no one else. Simple. There's no one else. There's no one else to play up front because Gale was injured early part of the season. Carroll's pretty much always injured. Muto is God knows, how often he turns up. But, I mean, he has shown promise in parts, but on the large, he has been pretty terrible. But it's £40 million. It's a 22-year-old player. You've got to give him a fair crack, which he almost certainly has. Next season now is going to be that. The first half of next season is going to decide his future, really, whether he's up to it or not.
Yeah, I totally agree. You mentioned Muto there, and I know I've seen a couple of comments throughout the show where we should give Muto a chance, and I think it's becoming more of a meme than anything else of giving this lad a chance. Do you think Muto has any shadow of a future, anything like that? Because he had a goal against Borough in a behind closed doors friendly, and he played in that. So worth a shout tomorrow. It would rotate the squad and give players rest. Don't know. What do you think?
No, Muto. People are only shouting for Muto because there's literally no one else, and they don't want to see Joe Linton play. Gale's out the door in the summer, almost certainly, and Carroll's just never fit. So that's the only reason why. There's literally nobody else. I'll be amazed if he features heavily before the end of the season, and I'll be amazed if he's still at Newcastle United at the start of next season.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, to be fair, mate. On to the next one. Liam thinks from our WhatsApp that it's going to be a 1-1 draw. So he's in agreement with Lee, but Jack has sent in a question. And I'll give this to you, Lee, since it's under 23 related. Would you start Jack Young or Tom Allen or bring them in for the last 15 minutes of a game? Now, we spoke about this briefly earlier, but it was more so me who spoke about it. Lee, do you reckon Tom Allen's worth a chance? Because striker-wise, in terms of the last games, we've got nothing really to play for. We're safe and all that. And and Tom Allen's been really impressive at under 23 level. Think he's worth a chance?
I would for the last 2 games of the season, because I think the next 2 teams, Watford and Spurs, have still got something to play for. I think Brighton will be safe by the 37th game. So the last 2, I'd probably look at starting 1 or 2 of the under-23s, but I don't see anything wrong with bringing them on for the last 10 to 15 minutes, get the first team Premier League debut, and then gradually play them a little bit more towards the last 2 games. So I would like to see some of the under-23 lads, even Dan Barlaser, get a little bit of a shout in the last 2 games and start the last 2, because both Brighton and Liverpool have got now to play for.
He sent in 2 questions, actually, to Jack. He's 4 players on a big budget. So say we get bored and we're allowed to bring in only 4 players in the summer. Sam, who would you look to bring in out the 4?
Oh, geez.
Like 4 positions.
4 positions? Or 4 players? You want me to name players?
4 players that you would look to bring in on a big budget next season.
So when the takeover rumours first got announced, I did an article about this on NewcastleFansTV.com. God, I'm good at plugs. What did I put? Sandro Tonali was one. Italian.
Football manager, him.
You are?
Yeah.
Brilliant on Football Manager, him.
He is. He actually is really good on Football Manager.
Oh, is he? Okay. So, yeah, I would definitely get him because he's been described by Totti, I think, as Andre Pirlo, the next Pirlo. So he'd be near the top of the list. You'd need 2 strikers. That's a tricky one. Help me out with some quality strikers. I mean, I wouldn't get Cavani. Yeah, well, I'd get Mbabu back.
Would you take Nathaniel Klein?
No,
I'd Mbabu.
I agree, Sam. Actually, Mbabu's a great sign. He'd want to come back as well. Klein, I think he's coming off a major injury and is a massive risk. In terms of a strike, I'll go for William Jose from Real Sociedad. He's been very prolific for the last couple of seasons, and he kind of goes under the radar a little bit. But he's a big centre forward, fantastic runs he makes into the box. He actually knows how to play the position of a centre forward, and we're record signing, and he would score goals, especially with Miggy and ASM in behind him for sure. So I'd go for William Jose. Is there any other positions you would look to address, Sam? Because there's 2.
You need another winger.
So Mbabu, William
Not
Jose.
in the short term, no. The other striker I would probably go for actually is the chap who plays with the other lad at Lille, Victor Osmahen or something like that. I don't know how you pronounce it.
We could go for something easier. We could go for Danny Ings. I mean, Danny Ings has been fantastic for Southampton. I mentioned it earlier on.
Danny Ings is the difference between Southampton staying up and going down.
Exactly, and I think you'd score a lot of goals in a Newcastle team, especially 4-2-3-1. But Lawrence with the last WhatsApp of the day, he's given his predicted 11. Get in the comments or get in the WhatsApp yours. Dubravka, Manquillo, Cher, Fernandez, Rose, Shelvey, Matty, Lazaro, Almiron, Richie, and Dwight Gale with a prediction of 2-2. So even give his goals and that as well. So if you're a betting man, there's a bet for you. But for me, I disagree with you, Lawrence. To be honest, I wouldn't play Cher with the way he's been playing. He just doesn't look interested, to be honest. Which is such a shame because obviously, Lee, you rate Cher more than anybody on the channel, and just to see the way he's playing at the minute.
Last season, I raved about him, and I think he deserved that praise. But if Lascelles doesn't make it, you're gonna have to play him. Or I've seen a couple of comments that Kellen Watts should be chucked in at the deep end, but that's a big ask to chuck a young lad.
Especially against someone like Troy Deeney as well. So maybe a little bit too much too soon. But to be fair, to back up my last point of earlier, you're never going to know unless you throw them out there. Do you know what I mean? Not going to get many scenarios where we've got a couple of Premier League games left where there's no pressure, the stands and things like that. Just give them a chance and see what they can do. So I would, if we've got no other options, I'd back Colin Watts to play actually. Even though it might be a case of too much too soon against experienced strikers and whatnot, but hopefully it's a case it's just Lascelles and Feddy tomorrow. But get your predictions in, get your comments in, of the predicted 11 and how you think tomorrow's going to go. But that's been the Black and White Show in its entirety. So I hope everyone has enjoyed on in the comments and on live on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. This has been Lee to the left of the screen, and in dead centre, War Sam, who could sell water to a fish, and then me, the presenter, in the last section of the show, Kyle. So it's been NFTV, Black and White Show. Make sure you just tune for all the post-match stuff, and we'll catch you in a bit. See you later, everyone. Bye.
You're watching the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
So that was fantastic, and we are going to be bringing you a few sponsors, and the first one that we're talking about today is 3 Retro. I've got Owen with me, and I've also got Sam with me. Owen, have you ever purchased something from 3 Retro?
Yeah, I've purchased from 3 Retro before. Their shirt quality is absolutely amazing. You'll find a range of shirts on there. Old shirts from the 90s, and even older than that, you can find ones from the 70s on there as well. Good quality shirts.
I have to agree, and the delivery is actually really quick considering we've just came in and out of a pandemic as well. I'm currently wearing mine's from the 93-94 season. Feels nice. You can get loads of different sizes. You can get medium, you can get extra large. It goes all the way up, and the great thing about 3 Retro, Sam, is that they deliver worldwide as well.
Isn't it just? I myself plumped for the 1995 brown ale one, the one and only, after my lovely mother donated mine to a charity shop some years ago. I needed to replace it. They're extortionate on eBay. So 3 Retro, very reasonably priced, quick delivery, absolutely seamless.
And it was only £30 for that shirt, which is an absolute bargain. If you spend over £50, you get free delivery as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And now more and more shirts, Owen, more retro shirts in particular, are becoming more and more popular. You see a lot of fans wearing away shirts and home shirts going back 20 plus years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for someone who wasn't born in that era, it's brilliant to see and brilliant to get hold of those shirts from that era, because they are the most beautiful. Yeah, I don't think we've had that amazing quality of shirt since maybe the early 2000s. So it's brilliant to be able to get your hands on them for a reasonable price with quick delivery. What more could you want?
Brilliant. Owen's a lot younger than us too, me and Sam. But on the website, they don't just do Newcastle United stuff. So if you've got friends and family in a divided household of different fans, they do several of other clubs. They also do national kits. We've got a lot of England shirts available as well. There's a link in the description. Get yourself onto 3 Retro. Get a bargain whilst you're there.
Welcome back to the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.